Hi guys, so I'm finally recording video about why I went into treatment and also why I left treatment and what happened in treatment, and yeah, so this is the treatment video that you've all been waiting for, and just general hi soul. Hello. Dogs have spoken, I need to hurry. So I wrote my list down again, so I have talking points. Okay, so this is part one of my treatment, two-parter thingy, kinda, maybe, as of now. I'm gonna do it in a section of residential treatment and then partial hospitalization because it was two like really different situations, and also it just makes life easier for me. And probably for you to understand it. So this is just talking about residential treatment right now. I'm obviously not going to be able to tell you guys too many details since it's like, you know, I signed a waiver of privacy on certain things and stuff. Puppies, can you just chill out? So first I'm going to talk about like why I went to treatment, because it was super abrupt and random, I know. So I don't know, you may or may not remember or have been around during that time, but it was about a year ago, a little bit less than a year ago. It was like September. Yeah, it was like September, like end of September that I ended up going. And I was living with Danielle at the time in Seattle, and it was super awesome and stuff, but you might remember or have seen my stalker video. So that was happening during the time. And so like between that and the fact that I was having a super hard time eating, and I'll get into that a little bit more later. So I was having a hard time with both of those things, plus just like trying to live in Seattle was like really expensive and stressful. So yeah, so kind of not the best stable environment for me. So I was like, okay, yeah, I need to go to treatment, because I felt so sick all the time. I kept like getting really dizzy and I was having like fainting spells and stuff. So yeah, not ideal. And I was throwing up like every single meal, not on purpose, just to be clear. Yeah, so that is why I went to treatment. And I know that I did it in a super shitty way, and I totally just like dipped out on pretty much everyone, and I apologize for that. But at a certain point, I just gotta take care of myself. So that's what I had to do. Yeah, so my original plan was to go to treatment and, you know, see if they could like get me back on a path where I was like stable enough to like move back to Seattle and keep doing what I was doing and hoping to do and everything. You know, originally I was planning to move back in with Danielle. So that didn't happen, obviously, but I'll talk about that later too. So yeah, before I went, it was super shitty and I was sick and I just could not handle it anymore, between like the dogs and the stalker and me just having a mental breakdown, and I wasn't able to eat anything. And so Danielle helped me get set up in a hotel just so I could be away from everything and stuff, and she was super awesome, and she went and like got me a bunch of clothes and everything ready for me to go to treatment. And like, she's the best. And so she was helping me with that. We even like went and got massages and stuff. That was nice. But also I felt like I was gonna pass out. So it was nice, but also kind of terrible. Which is just the story of my life. So shortly after that, then my mom came down to stay with me because she was gonna help take me to treatment, because that was like an hour and a half away or something. So yeah, my mom came and stayed with me for like 2 nights before, I think, or a night before. I don't remember exactly. It's been a while. But so she came and stayed with me, and then the next day or whatever, we went to treatment, or she took me to treatment. And that morning, like, I'm even getting anxiety just like talking about going to treatment. Ugh. Ugh, fuck treatment. On a, like, that's how I feel about treatment though. Fuck treatment. um, so they took me there, and I was like, felt like I had to puke the whole time. Couldn't eat fucking anything. I was like dying, and everything was just awful. So I get there, I have like all my bags and stuff packed. I bring everything up there. I have to hand over my phone. I have to hand over like everything, like all my stuff. And then they bring me into this small room where I have to sign like a fuck ton of papers, like forever. And like by that point, I was like crying and stuff because I was like, oh my god, this is like actually happening. I'm gonna be here. It's like prison. Oh my god, because like they have to buzz you in because the doors are alarmed, so you can't leave without being buzzed out, or the alarms will go off. So it's pretty much jail. Not really, but kind of. Like if you've ever seen, shit, what's that called? Oh yeah, if you've ever seen Girl Interrupted, it's not quite like that. A lot nicer looking, and a lot more rules than they had, but kind of like that. But anyway, so it was like, whew, stressful, like, holy shit, this is real kind of moment as I was signing over my freedom and my life. Sorry, Misa's making me pet him. Yeah, I know, Mimi. I know, puppy. You're such a good boy. So, anyway, I get there, I do all that stuff, I check in, I have to go through and have like 50 million doctor's tests done. They draw my blood, I fucking pass out, of course, and then they have to like take me over to the hospital that's like across the street so that they can draw my blood, because when they did it there, I was too dehydrated for them to get any blood out. So, yay, I gotta do it twice, and I have like a huge phobia of needles, like, ugh, God, fuck needles. I can't do it. Anyway, let's not talk about needles. So I had to do that. I had to get a lot of tests done, and then they finally brought me in for lunch, and that's when I met Faye, actually. I sat down at her lunch table. That was like, she was like the first person I met there, honestly. And I don't remember, we were playing some table game because we would try and pass the time and like keep things light and happy and, you know, distract people during meals and stuff with just games that we would play. And I don't remember which game it was that we were playing, but me and Faye ended up talking about like South Park and Family Guy, I think, and smoking. And then we got in trouble, I think, because we were talking about smoking. And I think one of us swore, maybe. Couldn't do either of those things, but yeah, so that's how I met Faye. And that was the only meal pretty much that I did not have to finish up afterwards with a boost. And that is basically like a protein shake, like a super, super high calorie, high dense protein shake that's like, I got the chalk flavor because that was like the best one in my opinion. And so it was like really fucking thick, cold chocolate milk. Like a lot of it, most of the time. And that first meal I didn't have to have any, but pretty much after that it was like, always have to have that. Because you have to finish everything on your plate. So yeah, so that was like my getting to treatment. So yeah, it was like a lot to take in at first, and like shortly after that, I ended up getting like a bladder infection or something because there was like weird annoying rules around the bathrooms, So I ended up not being able to pee when I needed to fucking pee. So I got a bladder infection, and then it was so painful. And the next day I spent like half the day crying and screaming on my bed because I felt like I was dying. And Faye came in and like threw this piece of paper at me, which didn't actually land on my bed. And we weren't allowed to enter into each other's rooms. And if you've ever had like a hospital room, it was kind of like that, but it was like that / dorm room. It's kind of hard to describe, but we only had the curtains closed. We couldn't have the doors shut. Yeah, so she threw that, and I had to crawl out of bed and grab it, even though I was like crying, and it was awful. But then it said, I don't remember what it said exactly. I have it upstairs somewhere. I can do another video of talking more about me and Faye's relationship during treatment if you guys want. But basically it was just like, I'm worried about you, love you, Faye. And it was really cute, and yeah. And so, but okay, I'm gonna tell you guys about the rules that were at treatment though, because oh my god, those are fucking like insane. Like, oh my god, the rules were insane. I don't have any of my binders anymore from treatment because I like tossed them all as soon as I could. But we literally had like that thick of a binder full of papers and stuff about rules and like what you're supposed to do and blah blah blah. Oh my god, it was insane. So like you couldn't say anything. Like, it's funny because people are always complaining on like Tumblr and stuff that like anything you say will like trigger someone, and like, oh my god, we can't say anything on here, like, someone's always being triggered. Well, you would do terribly in treatment because that's like, you can't say anything. You can't swear. You can't say anything that could be potentially triggering. You can't say anything related to body image or like appearance or like beauty or anything like that. Like, you can't do like, you can't have makeup really. I mean, you can have like a little bit, but like not really. And I think we weren't supposed to have it, but like they let us get away with it because I'm pretty sure it was in the rule book that we weren't supposed to have it. And let's see what else. You couldn't, you had to be fully clothed, like neck down to here. Sometimes you could wear a t-shirt, but like they preferred long sleeve. You couldn't wear any shorts or anything. Like, yeah, fully covered. But it was freezing in that building, so it was like fine. But like still, you had to be fully covered, and it was really annoying, like 24/7. Like there was no time. Like if you needed to like walk around, or like it was like between showering and stuff like that, getting ready in the morning, like you had to have a robe, and it like was like a giant ass like hospital robe. It was terrible. And you had to wear like these, okay, here, let me explain that better. So there was like this whole like protocol around the bathroom. That was like where the biggest rules were, which is like so funny because like normally you're like, okay, just going to the bathroom is like not that big of a deal. Getting up in the morning, getting dressed, like blah blah blah, brushing your teeth and like showering and everything, you know, morning routine should not be like a difficult thing. Well, not at treatment, because yeah, you have to, let's see, wake up at 5:30 for your vitals sometimes. So they come in, take your vitals super early. Then after that, they open the bathroom and you can like shower and stuff, but you can't shower before you've had like your weigh in, and you have to weigh in after you pee. So you have to go pee, and when you go pee, you have to take a little, like one of the pee cups hospitals have every morning, go pee in the pee cup, put it back. You can't flush the toilet. You have to wait, you have to hold the door open, stand by the door until the attendant or the PCA, the patient care assistant, comes around and flushes your toilet for you, or just like gives you the go ahead, and then you can go and like brush your teeth or whatever. And then you have to get weighed and you have to put on these like weird little yellow paper gowns, which were annoying and kind of stupid because they were see-through and like whatever. I thought they were kind of pointless. Whatever. Because I was definitely scoping Faye out like the whole time. Lesbian perks. Sharing bathrooms. I guess that's probably why we had to wear those things. For stuff like that. Yeah, anyway, besides me being creepy. So you had to weigh in every day. You couldn't see your weight. Like, that was a huge thing that was also an issue, whatever. So you couldn't see your weight. They had to like do that whole thing. They had to like, then you got a shower if you wanted to, and you only had like an hour to get through the whole bathroom scenario, hour and a half maybe 2 hours. So like you could not sleep in because they closed the doors at like 8 to the bathroom. And then once the doors are closed to the bathroom, you can't go to the bathroom. Like, you can't go to the bathroom unless you want to like go into the private bathroom and take a shit while you're staring at the PCA. That's so fun. Isn't that so fun to just go pee with someone else in the room or like take a shit if you gotta? There's no options. No options of treatment. So, yeah, treatment. So awesome. So that was every morning. You had to do that. And then you had to go back, wait. You had to fill out a little sheet about your feelings every day. Then you had to like fill out what your goals for the day were gonna be. And then we had like a bunch of different groups that we had to do all day long, like with different counselors and like different just therapy groups, literally all day long, besides for meals and like an hour of free time, pretty much, or vacation, where we got, which technically is supposed to only be for working, technically, because vocation, but like that meant that meant that we could use our phones and stuff for like an hour a day, so that was nice, I guess. And that was like a huge privilege too, because no one else really gets that option. Like, we were special, or our treatment center was special. But so yeah, it was intense. I met a lot of amazing people at treatment, especially at residential treatment, which was where I was first, which is where you like live there 24/7, and that's when you're like sleeping there overnight and stuff, and like having to do the bathroom thing, and that was like all day long. There was only like, you had to wait 45 minutes after every meal, and you had 6 meals a day, but you couldn't go to the bathroom for 45 minutes after every meal because you might like purge, and yeah, so yep, that was how it worked. We had movie night on Saturdays. That was pretty much as fun as it got. Or like, art therapy. But like otherwise it was just a bunch of therapy all day long. It was individual sessions, and then group sessions, and then just normal groups, and then different individual sessions or doctor's appointments, like all day long, in between having a bunch of different meals. So we wake up, we'd have breakfast, a little bit later, maybe an hour later, we'd have a snack, then we'd have lunch, and then we'd have a snack after lunch, and then we'd have dinner, and then we'd have a snack after dinner, and then we'd be in bed by 10. So that was our day every fucking day. Except the weekends, where there was not as many groups and way too much free time for us to do fucking nothing with our day. I got a lot of coloring done. Learned a lot about a lot of people. And myself. Yeah. There's also huge problems with staffing. Like, Oh my God, it was crazy. Like we were always short on staff, or like there was so many asshole staff members. Like there was this one nurse who, like, one of my friends had like self-harm scars, and you know, which is normal at eating disorder treatment or just general treatment centers for, you know, mental health issues. You know, self-harm is kind of a common thing, sadly. But she noticed them and she was like making a big deal about it, and she was like, "Oh my God, like what happened? Oh my God, there's more." And like, what? Like, as a nurse who's working somewhere like that, like, you don't do that. Don't do that. Um, and one time there was like a staff member. God, there were so many times that I had to bitch out staff members and stuff, or like there was so many fights and stuff between people. This one time I bitched out a therapist. Oh God. That was funny. Or like there was other crazy patients and stuff, which I really can't tell you guys too much about. Just with like patient confidentiality shit. So I gotta be careful and dance around those issues. But I can get into more of the gritty details later. I'm also trying to write something about it too, so that is also a thing in the future. But yeah, there was just so much craziness there, like so much drama. Like, funny, I went there to avoid drama, and all I got was more drama. Uh, oh, I wanted to tell you guys about how the meals worked. So, meals for our like big meals, like breakfast, lunch, dinner, we got 30 minutes to eat it. No, wait. Is that right? 30 minutes. Yeah, I think it was 30 minutes. Wow, that's like no fucking time. We got 30 minutes to eat our meal. And if we didn't finish it in that amount of time, then we were screwed basically, and we had to have the fucking boost. Yeah, so like we'd start the timer, we had to like go in and we'd have these like, we'd had name tags, so we'd all go sit at our assigned thing, and we had to fill out like these menu things beforehand so that we could figure out with the dietitian like what our meals would be and stuff. And so we'd go in, stand in front of our meal, and then once everyone was in there and stuff and everyone had the time set for when we were starting, then we could like take off these like weird black things that were around our meal, like the trays, whatever you want to fucking call them, little space discs. And then we would start, but we had to drink full 8 ounces of liquid. We had to have like our whole meal, like everything on the plate. Yeah, even the fucking crumbs, like everything. Like basically they wanted us to fucking lick it clean. It was so ridiculous. Like no one eats like that, whatever. So you couldn't have your hands underneath the table. You had to have them above the table always. You weren't allowed to move your feet. You were not allowed to have any like adult conversations. You had to avoid all topics that could be sensitive, including politics, religion, like everything. Like you couldn't talk about anything besides like puppies. Like you can't talk about food at all. You can't mention your food. Like you can't, it's so weird. It's like you can't talk about food. You can't really talk about your feelings that much at meals and stuff. And like you're eating with a staff member, like the staff member's not eating, but they're watching everyone eat and like taking notes on it. It's like, oh my God. It's just like so difficult. But so yeah, 30 minutes for longer meals, 15 minutes for the snacks. Those were usually smaller, which was good, but we had like a drink and the snack, it was usually pretzel or some shit like that. You know, like it's not that bad, but hard to eat like a bowl full of pretzels in 15 minutes. Like that's hard, okay? Like honestly difficult. No one was like able to do it ever. It was such a struggle. Yeah, and then after that, they would stop us and be like, okay, time's up, like put your forks down, whatever. And then they'd come around and like mark down how much, like what percentage you've eaten and stuff. And then they would go do this weird calculation thing to find out how much boost you were getting, depending on how much you had. And if you finished, then you could leave. But if you didn't finish, which was me every fucking day, you had to go sit at the boost table, which was like this table in the corner. You had to go sit there, and there was like a little timer, and they flip it over, and it's like 5 minutes, and you have 5 minutes to drink however much boost it is that you got. Like, you could have 2 8 ounces of fucking boost, potentially. You have 5 minutes to drink that. What? That's crazy! Oh my god, it was awful. And then, if you don't finish it, then you have to fill out this sheet saying why you didn't finish it. And there was like all these stupid questions to fill out. I just wrote smiley faces every time because I was just like, fuck you guys, I didn't finish it because I didn't fucking want to have any more of that because it was fucking terrible and my stomach hurts and I don't want to have it and I'm stressed out and you guys are so annoying. But treatment, yay, gotta love it. So that was the meals. Yeah, so I'm gonna take a quick break and feed my dogs because they're gonna get annoyed at me, but I will be back to finish the second half of my treatment talk. So, say goodbye, Mimi. Are you gonna have lunch? You want lunch? Oh, Mimi, you want food? You want food, Mimi? Yeah, you do. Oh boy. So, do you guys want lunch? Do you want lunchy? You want food? Oh boy, Zoli. Oh boy, you guys, you want food? Okay, be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. Oh shit. Oh, Papa fell downstairs. Okay. Yeah, so while I was at res, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. And just to preface this, I have been seeing a therapist for a while, but I just hadn't had like an official diagnosis from a psychologist yet. So, yeah, anyway. So I was diagnosed with BPD, borderline personality disorder. I was diagnosed with PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. I was diagnosed with OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder. I don't know why I have to say this in a funny voice for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I feel like it'll come off better that way. What else? Oh, I was diagnosed with seasonal depression, and my season is winter. I also just have a general depression and general anxiety, but I also have really bad social anxiety that is currently super, super bad. I don't know why. It's really frustrating and makes it so I can't leave my house really that much. Ignore the dishwasher. Yeah, so I was diagnosed with all that fun stuff, and I remember when I had a family session with my therapist, and she told my parents what she was thinking for my diagnosis and stuff, and like what my psychologist had said. So I had 2 people that were on my team. I had a psychiatrist, or I had a psychologist, I had a psychiatrist. Wait, which one? Yes, I had both. I had a therapist, and then I also had a dietitian, a general doctor. What else did I have? I don't remember. He really just wants to be held. Anyway, so basically, we all sat down to tell my parents, and at first they like disagreed with it, which kind of pissed me off like a lot, because my grandma was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and a lot of the other similar things as me, which makes sense because generally those types of mental disorders skip a generation. But so like it's complicated with my family since a lot of them have dealt with my grandma having the same types of things, and so I think a lot of the time I get lumped in and they assume it's going to be the exact same with me, and it's not. So it gets confusing, and there's a lot of times that we argued about whether or not it's actually real, which is really unfair to me that I have to defend whether or not my diagnosis is real, especially considering I had it diagnosed by psychologists. So like I've had some issues with that with my parents, but that took a while for them and me to adjust to. The most interesting thing I was diagnosed with though is what they said was atypical anorexia or avoidant restrictive eating disorder, which is basically like how anorexia works is generally it's caused by body dysmorphia, or you know, they play hand in hand. You know, some hold on, my nose is itchy. Okay, basically anorexia generally is associated with body dysmorphia and body image, as well as restricting foods and stuff, but it's for more of the specific reason. It's more specifically about body image and stuff surrounding that. It's not quite as black and white as that, but that's the best way I can describe it without getting into like really nuanced stuff that's gonna make no sense for most people. And then there's, you know, bulimia and stuff where what you're doing is you're purging, and so that means you are sometimes getting an intake, and when you do have an intake, you also try to match that by. Anyway, don't want to trigger anyone or give anyone ideas, so I'm gonna keep this short. For me, my eating disorder is super fucking confusing, and personally, I don't think any of the people I worked with had any fucking clue what was going on with me. I don't have any idea. I still have no idea. No one else has any idea. Like, no one knows. So it's because it's just something that people don't know a lot about. Like, I didn't know that existed, and I feel like I am pretty well versed in knowing different disorders and stuff, and I didn't know about this. And it's like really like newer and super not common apparently. But so basically for me, I have a hard time eating because of, not because of body dysmorphia or body image or anything like that. It's for me, oh kitty. For me, I have a hard time like swallowing things. Like literally, that's I think what it is. I have a hard time swallowing things. And I have an extremely sensitive stomach. I have a lot of allergies that I've always had. So like my body is really used to when something feels wrong, I throw up, because that was my allergic reaction when I had peanuts when I was young. And so now I relate my anxiety to the feeling of an allergic reaction to peanuts, because that was like the first time I ever knew anxiety. and everyone around me freaking out and stuff and being anxious. So yeah, I think that plays into it a lot. I don't think that's the only reason, but I think that is a huge thing that plays into it. But so that is, for me, it's like I have a hard time swallowing things. It's not quite as simple as that. When I do eat things sometimes, like I'll be fine, or even if it's like a food that's totally like normal for me, comfort food, like I will just like throw up everything I've eaten, like for no reason. Like nothing triggers it or anything. It's just like all of a sudden I just like can't do it. And they have like been trying to figure out what's wrong with me for like years now. And at first we thought it was excess stomach acid, we thought it was like an ulcer, we thought it was a bunch of other things. But like honestly, we're pretty much still as clueless as we were before. I've just been to more doctors and spent more money trying to figure out things. So whatever. It's not really a problem that's gone away from me at all. And I'll get into that more in the part of when I talk about partial hospitalization, not residential. But yeah, so yep, that is my problem. That's my eating problem. That is what specifically landed me there, because I was having such a hard time eating that I was extremely unhealthy. And so that is why I went to an eating disorder treatment center and not anywhere else, like a other mental facility. Like that's why I went there. And also because there's not really that great of other mental facilities, honestly. So yeah, that it was a really eye-opening experience for me being at residential treatment, because I mean, now I think I would survive in jail relatively well. I know how to like sneak things in places, hide from cameras, that kind of stuff. But I'm joking. I would be fucking terrible in jail. I would get like, I'm such a pussy, like I would die. There was about a week or 2 weeks where Faye had stepped down to partial hospitalization and I was still in residential treatment with like my other friends that were there, and there was like 5 other people that like really lived there. So I was fine, but like we switched my medication up because, what better place to experiment with drugs than when you're in a hospital. And so we switched it up a bunch, and in a few of those times when I was like withdrawing, so there was a mix up with my meds, so I couldn't get them on time and stuff also. But I had to go through withdrawals for like over a weekend, which was when there was nobody there, of course. Super understaffed on the weekends. There's just like a PCA and like a nurse, that was it. And like they can only do so much, they only know so much. They like the PCA has like an associate's degree and the nurse is just like, a nurse. So yeah, but I was getting super bad panic attacks and I was like dissociating like fucking crazy. And there was one time, there was like 1 or 2 days like that I vividly remember where I was just like totally fine and stuff, and I think it was like breakfast we walked to, and like all of a sudden I just started dissociating like crazy, and like we were walking and everyone said that I was totally fine through all of breakfast. I don't remember that. I don't remember being fine. I don't remember anything. I don't remember talking. I don't remember. But apparently I was fine, and I remember just like walking down the hallways and getting just like this feeling of just like this dark energy. I sound fucking crazy. This is why I have anxiety about making this video, because I sound fucking crazy. Dark energy though, and just like blood on the walls, like dripping. And I just like remember that, and then it like kind of just like felt like I was going into a tunnel, which I did have a lot of tunnel vision and vertigo when I was going through withdrawal, so I think that was a part of it. It like felt like there was an earthquake, but just like for me. It was like my own little personal earthquake happening, and just inside me, because I was shaking so bad also. And like my vision was shaky, just everything was shaky, but like it was obviously like not shaky outside of my body. And God, how many andas do I do in every video? Someone should go through and count. I edit most of them out too. That's the really bad part. But I went to breakfast and was totally fine. I like couldn't really eat much, but I was acting fine. And then by the end of breakfast, when it got to boosting time, I sat down to have my boost, and I just like got super dizzy and like pretty much passed out. They made me drink some orange juice, or Gatorade, I think it was Gatorade. They had me have some Gatorade because they just thought I was like maybe really dehydrated. And so I eventually like started coming back into, you know, noticing what was happening. Because I think, you know, like I was fine. I was like dissociated, but like fine outwardly until I was like boosting. And then at that point, I think I like resociated with myself and realized what was happening. And then I like got all freaked out from it and like passed out just from fucking anxiety and stuff. And then they had to wheelchair me back to my room and stuff, and yeah, so that was like a weekly occurrence. Not that exactly, but something like that happened quite often. Welcome to treatment. There was like a lot of things from residential treatment that I could go into more about if you guys want to hear about that, but I think I'm gonna let this conclude on residential treatment. Actually, wait. The reason I had to step down from residential treatment was because my insurance had decided that I was eating enough meals, or I was at a good enough weight or whatever, that I could step down to partial hospitalization, even though I personally said that I should have stayed maybe for another month, and I was there for about a month and a half. So yeah, but that's why I left residential treatment to go to partial hospitalization. So yeah, but that is the end of my general story about residential treatment. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and if you have any other questions about it, or you want me to make other videos about treatment and stuff, leave your comments below, and then follow me on my other social media. And also, I'm gonna get back into streaming on Community, which is a site that is owned by my free cams, which is what I used to cam on, but now I'm switching over to Community. So if you go look up Indigo White on there, you'll find my profile, so keep your eyes out for that too. Must be 18 or older though. So yeah, okay, thanks guys, bye.